Hello, everybody. Today I will be talking about the action research that I have been doing over the course of this semester. So, this semester I have chosen the topic of Does intentional team bonding directly influence team success? So, I chose to use my baseball team here on campus at ETBU, in which I monitored, analyzed, and examined how intentional team bonding activities influence team dynamics and results. So essentially, what I was testing was, does the relationship I have with my teammates directly influence our performance on the field? So the goal of this project was to find different activities, tools, resources that I can use in my future as a coach, teacher, and pretty much everyday life. So what really inspired me to come up with this question is, well, this is my fifth year of college. And so, in my 5 years of college, I've played baseball all 5 years. And I've had the privilege of playing with some pretty successful college teams. But most importantly, over those 5 years, I've really developed some true meaningful relationships with my teammates. And so, I wanted to just test, does that have everything to do with our success? Is it a little bit of both? Kind of where does that fall? So, um, before I began the true research analysis of this process, I went ahead and looked at some previous studies. So here's a list of the couple of the studies that I went ahead and that have been done in the past and looked at. Um, and basically, the key takeaway I've had from all four or five different studies that I looked at was the same pretty much goal of my, or same pretty much accuracy of my hypothesis of, does intentional team bonding and effective communication um, drive both performance and physical wellness? And the answer was yes from these previous studies. So it pretty much built my hypothesis of, yes, there is a true correlation between the two, team bonding and overall team success. So here's just a little bit of context of kind of how we went about team bonding and the activities before I began the research. So this is my first year here at ETBU, and I decided to come here in August. Well, when I was pretty much deciding which school I wanted to come to, the head coach here at East Texas Baptist, he called me in August, and he pretty much did like a interview um, over the phone on how what kind of character and kind of person I am. And the reason I chose this school was, within the first 10 minutes of us talking, he talked about the importance of team bonding, and he wanted somebody to come in as kind of an older guy and mentor and build the team together, because that team chemistry and team bonding was at the forefront of what he wanted to build this season around. So whenever I had that phone call, it was pretty much a immediate yes, this is what I want to do. So we began doing this intentional team bonding every Friday since the beginning I've been here. So when this semester, whenever we were researching, it was cool that I got to kind of work with my coach alongside with him and see the development between um, team chemistry and overall success on the field. So all 40 guys on the team, just like me, were made aware that we were going to be really putting an emphasis on building close, meaningful relationships. So everybody was on board with that before the research began. So um, yeah, let's look at some different team bonding activities. So I kind of broke these two up into two different concepts. So one is an involuntary activity. So basically, hey, we have a mandatory meeting, you got to make it. And with that, um, attendance is pretty much 100%. You only miss for class or whatnot, but um, those were beneficial. And then on top of that, the other category we have is some voluntary activities, which I feel like I primarily led on that aspect, and the coaches, they kind of handled the involuntary activities. So I was going to go through a little bit of the differences between the two. So if you look at the involuntary activities, we met in the fall and in the spring every Friday at 10 a.m. before our practice, because that was our block where people didn't have class. And each week we geared at doing and building different activities that would make us closer to one another. So right here, I have one of the activities that we did. Um, so I remember before the season started, we were all kind of struggling a little bit as a team, and our coaches kind of wanted to do an activity to build our confidence with one another. So what we did is we all sat down in the locker room, and we just put our name on the front, and then in the middle where nobody could see, we wrote down something that we struggle with. And so I'll just go ahead and share. Um, Mine was overthinking. So I had a tendency at the time to try to do too much and try to be pretty much somebody I wasn't on the team, and that was kind of weighing in on me. Well, so what you did is every minute the timer would go off, and you'd pass the paper down to the next person, and on the back, um, our whole team would write things that they like about, or things that you do well. So in the middle, where you're kind of consumed with all this negativity, on the back, it was cool to see all the love and support that your teammates had. So, for example, on mine, it has a mentor to the younger guys. One of my roommates wrote, "Best roommate ever." Teaches younger guys with experience. My coach put high energy, high IQ, and motor. So just a bunch of things like this from all my different teammates, and that was a really cool activity that helped kind of just build some confidence between us. So that's an example of one activity that we use to intentionally build team chemistry. Some other voluntary activities: we hosted a spike ball tournament with the team. These are all completely optional. So on a Thursday, Friday night, if you had nothing to do, you could come over to my house. We'd grill out, have some dinner. A really fun one that our team liked is we all, before those meetings on Friday, we had to sing karaoke. So that was pretty humbling, to say the least, in front of 40 guys singing some Taylor Swift. Um, but yeah, those are just all different types of the bonding activities, ranging from involuntary, mandatory, hey, you got to do here, do stuff on the field, all the way to simple bowling or whatever the case may be. So, how did I collect my data? So, during my research, I used a combination of both qualitative and quantitative data. So, I used the mixed method approach. So, the qualitative data that came from anywhere, any conversations I was having with my teammates. The best way I found to do it was to physically just go up to them at practice and be like, "Hey, man, what's going on? What do you think about this?" And it was really cool because of some of the work that I put in the fall to build relationships with the guys. Um, Although I was using it as data, it really was nice because it kind of came natural. So I was able to kind of see what my teammates felt about different things that we were doing on and off the field, and kind of gauging with them. And then the quantitative data that we took, when the season began, we tracked our win loss record. Baseball is a game where, whether you like it or not, your stats are going to be posted on the website for anybody to see. So it was pretty easy to do the quantitative aspect, whether it was ERA, your team batting average. And then the one that I physically had to take personally was the attendance rate at our voluntary meetings each week. Um, yeah. And so here is some of the results that I found. So on the left, it's pretty cool to see. So on the left, it talks about our overall team success. So how did we do in terms of winning and losing on the field? And so if you look at this red bar over here, this red bar on the left, it tracks our overall team winning percentage. So if you look at week 1 and 2, we started the season off really bad, unfortunately, not how we hoped. And if you look at the yellow bar, it just talks about our overall attendance in these optional meetings. Um, so this was a really big tell for me. Was um, We started the season off pretty low in terms of attendance because that wasn't something we were prioritizing. And if you look, we were very humbled in the sense that we didn't play really that well, honestly. And so I remember after the second week, our coaches and we kind of met up, and we're like, dang, what's going on? Well, we weren't really communicating well on the field. We were kind of not trusting the guy next to us to make the play that they were supposed to make. And we're like, well, that's literally not what we preached the entire 9 months building up to this. So we kind of had a reset here about week 3 and 4, in which we made it a point of emphasis to, hey, let's just get together, guys. Let's just be around each other. And if you look at week 4, that was it. Kind of worked out the way that it was because it was our spring break, so we didn't have too much class going on at the time. But as a result of that, we saw the highest level we had of team attendance. And if you look at, that's where our season started to spark in the right direction. So that kind of matched the hypothesis of, well, intentional bonding plays a direct correlation. And then the one thing that I found that was really cool about the whole study was, I went ahead and tracked the individual statistics of some of the players. So the people with the 10 most at bats on the team, I went ahead and tracked their batting average and their attendance. And it was funny to see, if you look at, for the most part, the attendance rate is significantly, or I'm sorry, the batting average is significantly higher to the players that attended more team meetings. So, for example, these two players in the middle, um, they lead our team in batting average. Well, they also haven't missed a voluntary week, and that was pretty cool to see. Is that a coincidence? Maybe, but the rest of the data shows that there is some story behind it, because if you look over here and the right, um, that player, he is kind of struggling a little bit this year, and he's only attended 1 out of 7 weeks of the voluntary meeting. So it was pretty cool to see, um, the immediate feedback that we got. Um, and then lastly, which this was pretty much the biggest thing for me, is I, going into the study, had a feeling that yes, there was a definite correlation between team chemistry and overall success on the field, but I didn't realize how significant it was. And so, knowing what I know now, this has really changed the way I feel I'm going to go about coaching in the future and teaching. So, if all goes as planned, I plan on having a full time classroom and student athletes here this upcoming fall. And from day one, my biggest goal is going to be building these relationships up intentionally. I want to be intentional with my time with my athletes, and I want to show them that in order to get this thing moving, you're going to have to trust that I'm doing what's best for you. And I hope that I can trust that you're going to be putting in the work as well. So, overall, this whole semester, it was a really cool experience, because not only did I get to track and kind of make this my final year of baseball, what I wanted out of it, I got to pretty much have a big role in deciding, hey guys, we're going to do this, or hey, we're going to meet up as a team. And it was really cool because it felt organic, in the sense of I got to make some really cool friendships along the way. But most importantly, I would say this study really has changed the way I'm going to go about my future relationships in the classroom and with colleagues. And I think that's another one that is worth looking at. Is, well, yes, it helped me on in the athletic field, but I would, going forward in the classroom, I want to build relationships with my colleagues, my students, everything, because it just shows that whenever you're able to trust and truly care about the other person, that results are going to take care of themselves. So yeah, overall, it was a really exciting semester, and I'm super excited with how the data and everything ended up turning out. And I appreciate hearing from all of y'all. It has been cool to really get the feedback from our studies, and I'm glad the semester went as well as it did. And I look forward to reading and watching the rest of y'all. So thank you. Have a good one.